I'd like to call your attention to Acts chapter 27. Acts chapter 27. Now we're going to actually deal with all of the 27, the chapter 27. So please keep your Bible open so I can make reference back to a verse in there. And I'm going to look at verse number 39 to the end. Acts chapter 27, beginning with verse number 39. And I'll be reading from the New King James Version. You'll find these words written therein. When it was day, they did not recognize the land, but they observed a bay with a beach, onto which they planned to run the ship, if possible. And they let go the anchors and left them in the sea. Meanwhile, loosing the rudder ropes, they hoisted the main sail to the wind and made for shore. But striking a place where two seas met, they ran the ship around, and the prow struck fast and remained immovable. But the stern was being broken up by the violence of the waves. And the soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners, lest any of them should swim away and escape. But the centurion wanted to save Paul, kept them from their purpose, and commanded that those who could swim jump overboard first and go and get to land. And the rest, some on boards, some on parts of the ship. And so it was that they all escaped safely to land. Amen. You may be seen in the presence of God. And just for a few moments, I want to talk about divine deliverance in the midst of deliberate destruction. Divine deliverance in the midst of deliberate destruction. And I got this message primarily but the thought came from our recent weather forecast. May has been dubbed as history making for all of the rainfall that we have received here in the state of Texas. The National Weather Center says that the state of Texas in May of 2015, if you add all the water up from the rainfall, it was 35 trillion gallons. That means it could cover the state of Texas 8 feet deep. And in the midst of all the rains and all the storms, we saw all the dramatic rescues that went forth. And even through all the storms, even the people of God had some concerns about, will we make it out of this storm? Or how will we make it out of this storm? One of the things I remember Mama would often say, she said, son, in life, there are 3 phases that you will encounter. One is entering into a storm. 2 is you'll find yourself in the midst of a storm. And the 3rd phase is you'll find yourself leaving the storm. And I remember her telling me it does not matter what phase you find yourself in currently. Just keep living and you will experience all 3. And sometimes you will experience all 3 more than once. But she says no matter how many times you experience these phases of life, the key is this, she says, remember, it's only a test. And since it's only a test, understand you're going through this period of your life for a while. But you're going through, which means you're going to come out. And I want to share with with you that through the storms of life, because we will have them, watch this, in John chapter 16, it tells us that these things have I spoken. This is Jesus talking. He says, these things have I spoken, that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have tribulations. But he says, be of good cheer, for I've already overcome the world. I like that because Jesus, the Christ, is talking, telling us, hey, this is what is going to happen in your life. And so expect it to come. Now, if it does not come, then you ought to be a little concerned. Because here Jesus is talking to the believers saying that trials and tribulations will come. So if by chance you have not faced trials or tribulations, I would suggest that you get to know the Lord a little bit better, because he's telling you this will come your way if you believe in me and you're one of mine. But he says, watch this, it's going to come, but he says, I'm giving you peace. I want you to know that when it comes, I've already secured the victory. All you have to do is go through it, because in me you have victory. So my words to you today is that no matter what you have to face in life, face it. No matter what storm comes your way, confront it. Whatever you have to deal with, because the end result is you are victorious, because our God says in his word the victory has already been won. Now watch this. And I want to liberate some folks and set some folks free on some things. We know that these tests will come. In all my years of schooling, I've had many tests. I've had pop quiz, I've had surprise tests, and I even had tests I knew we were going to have a test on this day. And one thing I discovered is every test that I've taken in the course of my life, prior to taking the test, I covered the material that was on the test. So no matter what test you are going to face in your life today or tomorrow or whenever, whatever is on the test has already been covered. Watch this. How do I know that? Because you have pop quizzes, you have surprise tests, you have scheduled tests. And I did pretty good on those, but the test that I used to ace all the time was those open book tests. So what happens is, no matter what you're going through, all you have to do is open up the book, flip through the chapter and section that you need, because the answer to the test is in the book. So nothing is new under the sun. All you have to realize is it's only a test, and the end result is your victory. So all you have to do is rely on the book. Let's recap. There are three phases of life: entering the storm, in the midst of the storm, and come out of the storm. You already know the victory is yours, and you know it's a test, and you know you're coming out. So how is it possible to have divine deliverance in the midst of deliberate destruction? Destruction means to destroy. Means to put it into, bring about a termination. But you're saying that even though I know this is out to destroy me, I can still have a fine divine deliverance. How is that possible? Come to Acts chapter 27 and let's look at some things here. When you look at Acts chapter 27, it opens up, watch this. Paul is being placed on a boat with prisoners to go to Rome. Now, Paul, this wasn't the love boat or the cruise boat, nothing like this. This was a boat where they put prisoners on. So Paul, at this particular point of his life, he wasn't there on the Carnival cruise with the stops. He was a prisoner. Paul is on a boat as a prisoner. even in the midst of him being a prisoner, watch this, we drop down to verse number 9. Paul, and I'm looking at verses 9, 10, and 11. Paul's telling him, hey, look, we're about to take this voyage, and this voyage is not only going to take the ship out, but it's going to take us out. That, to me, sounds like deliberate destruction. Before we even sail good, you're telling me that the end is destruction. But yet, Paul still on the voyage. Watch this. Because he really has no choice. Why? Because Paul was on assignment. And so sometimes God will place you with some folks who are not saved, not to destroy you, but because of your presence will deliver them. And so even though it seems like you are on a crash course of destruction, rely on who is in control. And I'm not talking about the captain of the ship you're on, but the captain of your ship. I guarantee you, with him, you cannot lose. Why? Because when I open up the book, flip to Revelation, Revelation tells me the victory has already been won. So whatever storm you're facing, understand this. Weather the storm. Go through it. Enjoy the experience. Learn from the experience. Because you already know the end is, I'm victorious. But you have to be careful. Why is that? Because, watch this. I think verse number 11, Paul tells them that, and the centurion, the guards who are supposed to watch the prisoners. Okay, well Paul, we hear what you're saying, but you ain't really in control. And watch this. Paul wasn't. But who Paul belonged to was in control. So the centurions were listening to the folk who had the manifest of the course of which the boat was supposed to take, and the captains, that's who they listened to. Watch this. In verse number 11. It's okay, Paul, we hear what you're saying, but we got this intent too. We're going to keep on pushing forward. So they go and they begin this voyage, and they experience all kind of I think Bible called it tempest, where with the rain, with the winds and the waves of the ship, and all that kind of stuff. But then watch this. Verse number 21, it says that they came with this plan. Okay, we're facing all this opposition in this voyage. So what we're going to do is, we're going to stop eating, and we're going to try to save our resources, because we don't know how long we're going to be out here. And then Paul, watching, I love, he says, look, I already told y'all, this is what destroys. That was verse number 9 to 11. But when we get down to verse 21 and 22, he says, look, an angel of the Lord talked to me last night, and he told me to tell y'all that when we started the journey, it meant destruction for the ship and everything in it. Y'all didn't listen to me. But the God of a second chance that I serve sent an angel my way and said, hold on, you know what? Since y'all not listening, I'm only going to destroy the ship, but I'm going to spread their lives. And they still didn't want to listen, and they kept on going forward. Right there. So then they said, we're going to stop, we're going to stop eating this, and we're going to save our resources. So we know we're going to live. We don't know how long we're going to be out here on the sea, so we're going to try to eat a little bit here, eat a little bit there, so we can have some for the long haul. Paul tells them, now look, why don't we go ahead and eat, enjoy the storm that we're in, because we know the victory is ours, and we can go starve ourselves while we're in the storm. We might want to start praising God to see us through the storm. So that's why you're going to find yourself in the storm longer than you have to. Sometimes God leaves us in the storm long enough to where we have nothing, to where we have to just start praising Him. Children of the wilderness was out there for 40 days, 40 nights. For what? If they would have gave God some praise, you know how much shorter that journey would have been? Do you know why some of our lives are like reruns and repeats? Doing the same thing over and over and over again? Because God will say, you did it this way and it was wrong. I steered you to the right, but you wanted to go left. And God is kind of taking you back. And when is it that God moves you forward? When you have nothing and you begin to rely and trust on Him to give Him some praise. So some of these journeys that we go, we extend them for no reason whatsoever. But all we have to do, can we do Mama and Sarah? We just praise Him in advance? There's some things in my life that I know that are coming my way. I mean, I got 3 boys. And I know some stuff is coming my way, not necessarily on me, but for them. So if I just give God some praise in done already in their lives. And maybe that would shield them from some of the bad stuff that would come their way. But because if they see me praising God, watch this, they praise God. We're just talking about divine deliverance in the midst of a destruction. Deliberate destruction. Because it starts off, hey, this is going to take you out. But then midway through, he says, okay, y'all don't listen. So now we're going to just destroy the ship. Okay? So Paul goes on, he encourages them. So how is it that we find this divine deliverance in the midst of this deliberate destruction? It's easy. Verse number, I think it's 39, which says, when it was day, they didn't recognize the land, but they observed it. First thing is you have to recognize possibilities and potentials in your storm. When it's nighttime, our vision sometimes see things that may not be there. But it's not until, watch this, that what you're seeing it's not until the light gets into your eyes that you can focus. I found out something interesting about our sight. That our sight, when we look at stuff, we see things, watch this, upside down. It's not until the light gets to our pupil that what we see is upside down is turned right side up. So what you're looking at from your physical eye sometimes is distorted and turned upside down. But it's not until you see the situation through the light of the world, that what is upside down and distorted comes into full focus. So when you're in the midst of a deliberate destruction, all you have to do is reevaluate things and recognize the possibilities and the potentials in the situation. Well, you know, Junior's ain't gonna graduate. He ain't gonna make the college, but he's going to class every day. Sally's, I don't think Sally's gonna make it. You know, Sally's just, you know, she hang with the wrong folks. But yeah, she was hanging with them Monday through Friday. Now we only see them on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's small progress. And one thing I tell anybody, you have to celebrate the small victory. Like I said, you didn't make the mess and how long it took you to make it, it's gonna take you that much longer to correct it. As long as you see some possibilities and potential, you just keep moving in that direction. So the first thing we have to do is recognize the possibilities and potentials in our situations. The next thing is we have to release the pressures which prevent us from progress. Because I think it's in verse number 40, 41, when it says, after they saw the land, what the Bible said to do? They release the anchors. Anchors for a boat is the thing that when you want to become stationary and not allow the winds and the waves to move you, you drop anchor. And that means wherever you drop anchor is where you're going to stay. And you cannot move forward until you release the anchors. So there are, in your storm, there are some anchors that are holding you down, that are weighing you down, that are keeping you from moving forward. And my word to you today is release those anchors. Watch this, because the Bible says they left the anchors in the sea. Leave those anchors right where they are so that you can move forward. And then they talk about the rudder. And see, I'm not a boatsman, I'm not a fisherman, I'm not outdoorsman. So I had to do some research to find out what a rudder is. The rudder, they said we had to loose those ropes because we were trying to go to the right and the rudders were so tired that we couldn't go in the direction that we want. So if we loosen the rudders, we can go and get rid of the anchors. We can go into the direction of the winds and the waves or wherever the current or tide takes us. I'm just talking about how you can find divine deliverance in a deliberate destruction. First thing we have to do is we have to recognize the possibilities and potentials. Second thing we have to do is we have to release the pressures that prevent us from moving forward. The final thing we have to do is we have to reevaluate our relationships. Now y'all saying, where did you get that from in text? In verse number 40, I think it's verse number 43. It says, I'm sorry, let's go back to 42. 42 says that the prisoners, the guards' plan was to kill all the prisoners so they wouldn't escape. Because what happens is, if it was on your watch that folk got loose, then whatever would fall into the prisoner will fall to you. And so that the guards didn't want that to be fall to fall to them. They said, well, you know what, we out here in this mess, we're not going to survive. Hey, look, the folk, look, like, you know how they look better than me? So we're going to kill all of them. So we're going to let them escape. And we go tell Master them that, hey, they drowned. They didn't make it, so we good. Just to save our lives. But watch this. The centurion, after experiencing all he had experienced thus far, came up with a plan. And his plan was to save Paul. Centurions didn't even like Christian folk. But this particular centurion had enough common sense to say, if I'm going to make it, I need to rely on someone better or greater than who I was relying on. And watch this. Verse number 9, the centurion said, look here, Paul, I heard what you said about all this instruction, but I'm going to listen to the one who's in charge of this ship. But down here, when we get to verse number 44, 43, 44, the same man said, you know what, Paul, I'm going to start listening to you because the one who's in charge of this ship got us down here in this kind of way, and we are doomed for destruction. So maybe by now I'm going to listen to Paul, because maybe Paul's God got more power and more control than the one I've been listening to. Sometimes you have to reevaluate the relationships because everybody's not going where you're going. I'm done. I'm done. Come on, right to my bed. I be no hour, so I'm done. But here's the thing. The centurion said, look, here's my plan. I'm going to save Paul. Here's what we're going to do. All y'all who know how to swim, y'all jump off first and start swimming. And everybody else, I'm just going to hang back. Now, there's a preacher, my wife won't kill when I say this, y'all, so it's a word, I promise you it's a word. My favorite preacher is Bishop Rudolph McKissick out of Jacksonville, Florida. And I remember him telling me a story about when he was a little boy growing up in Jacksonville. He said, I couldn't swim. And he said, he remembered Mr. Woods, that's his name, Mr. Woods. He said, Mr. Woods was a swimming instructor at the local YMCA where he went. And he said he remembered going there for the first time, could not swim. And he says, some of his friends, you know, when you got the pool, you got the kiddie pool, the 2 feet, the 3 feet, and as you go, it increases. And so he said his friends who knew how to swim were at the far end of the pool in the deep side. And he said, I couldn't swim, but I wanted to swim. He said, Mr. Woods, he said, can you teach me how to swim? He said, yeah. He said, when do you want to start? He said, can I start today? He said, yeah. He said, my first lesson is Mr. Woods, push me into the water. Watch this. On the kiddie side of the pool. And he said, I couldn't swim. I was scared. And I'm just kicking and screaming, kicking and screaming. And Mr. Woods just simply said, stand up! Sometimes, when you're in the water, God's not going to put you in the deep end of the pool until you've been certified to be in the big end of the pool. So these are the kiddie pools that we find these rocks, these waves in. All we have to do is stand up. So watch this. The text says, he said, those who can swim, y'all go ahead, jump out first, and swim. But then my thing was, hold on, wait a minute. The ship is going down, but why he want the good swimmers to go first, and the folk that can't swim, stay back? But then the text says something very interesting. And while I'm sitting there, and it kept bothering me all service long. And I kind of put my phone out and kind of found some stuff that kind of just blew my mind. He says, those who can swim, y'all jump out first, y'all going to swim. He said, everybody else, grab a piece of the boat, whatever you can get. And then the text ends up saying, that everybody made to stay faithful. All right, wait a minute, hold on. Before I get this one, go ahead and swoop first. Okay, and everybody else, hold on to a piece of the boat. A piece of the boat.
Yeah.
But then they all make it. So then I put my phone out and I'm looking at some stuff. And the funny thing I found out about it is that in biblical references, boats, or rather ships, depict doctrine, depict the church, depict your faith. So when you find yourself in the midst of a situation that seemingly would take you out, even if you got a piece of your faith to hold on to, God will bring you to the shore of where He wants you to be. So my word today is no matter what storm you're facing or about to face, you can just hold on to a piece of your faith. Hold on to a piece of your doctrine. I promise you, God will take you where He wants you to be. And watch this. I think it's the very next chapter. This boat was destroyed in 27. But if you go on to read in chapter 28, it said they got a bigger boat in this chapter than they had the last chapter. Why? Because they trusted God. God certified them to go to deeper waters, and the deeper waters come bigger boats. No matter what you're going through, understand, there is divine deliverance in the midst of deliberate destruction. May God bless you.